In the early 1980s, the Madison Pen and Mic Club recognized our first inductee for his athletic accomplishments by presenting him several Special Achievement Awards, as well as honoring him as the 1983 Sportsman of the Year. Today, the Madison Sports Hall of Fame is recognizing his overall career achievements and longtime ties to the community. Marc, the only child of high school sweethearts Philip and Judith Behrend, was born in January 1961 on Madison's east side. He always seemed to have an interest in athletics, probably due to his father's involvement with sport. As a youngster, Behrend played and loved the usual games of the neighborhood boys: baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. He lived and breathed athletics either in pickup games or organized leagues for the sport that was in season. His hockey passion began on the flooded park rink near his Worth Court home. After walking on the sidewalk to the park and making sparks with his figure skates, Marc, who had no concept of hockey, loved to play a sliding game with a tree branch and an ice chunk. Things changed quickly, however, when Harley Spildy said to his dad, "Why don't you sign the kid up for East Side hockey, but make sure that he doesn't play goalie?" Even though buying hockey equipment was a financial shock to the family, Marc began playing. Advice about not playing goalie fell on deaf ears because, as Behrend admits, I was never a good listener. During the summers, Marc began to hone his goalie and skating skills, attending the clinics led by Bob Johnson, Badger head coach, and Bill Howard, Badger goalie coach, and Jeff Sauer, a future Badger head coach. His youth team traveled to many tournaments, even to Toronto, Canada for a tournament. When a Canadian coach asked his parents to let him live there and play for the Ontario team, Behrend's confidence was boosted and he began to think that he could be a good goalie. But at La Follette High School, he was a multi-sport athlete, playing baseball, football, golf, as well as hockey. Coaches Tom Kanaki, Dave Moss, Ted Obler, and athletic director Paul Swanson had a positive influence on him both as a player and as a person. Marc, as a senior, was an all-city and all-conference defensive end in football. His father at Madison Central and his grandfather at Wisconsin High were also standout football players. Honored as an all-city and all-conference goalie, too, his development in the sport was only just beginning. Johnson and Howard recruited Marc for Badger hockey, but his eventual stardom was not evident early on. Badger and Olympic trainer Dennis Halwig said prior to the 1984 Sarajevo Winter Olympics, "I don't think that people realize how far this guy has come. People don't know that this guy was the second string goalie for the JVs for 1.5 years, who almost quits, but gets a chance to play because of injuries." He goes on to lead the Badgers to the 1981 National Championship and be named the tournament's most valuable player. Marc was encouraged by Grant Stanbrook, Badger assistant coach, and gave him many insights into the game of hockey during this period. During the next 2 years, the Badgers were 1982 national runner-up and WCHA champions, with Behrend being named second team all-conference, and in 1983 with Jeff Sauer as head coach, they were national champions. Marc again was named the tournament MVP. He still holds the UW career record for best season win percentage at 92% and career win percentage at 84%. Marc is fourth in save percentage at 92% and in goals against average at 2.23. Bill Howard said at the time that he is the best that's played at Wisconsin. There's never been anyone better at this school, certainly not in the big games. The UW has recognized him for these accomplishments by inducting him into the school's Hockey Hall of Fame in 1989 and into the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame in 2006. Prior to joining the NHL's Winnipeg Jets, who drafted him in the 5th round, Marc played for the 1984 Olympic team. Again, he was the backup goalie in the games prior to the Olympics until a crucial series with the Soviet select team. Behrend's excellent performance in these games and his 22-7-2 record and a 3.12 goals against average won Marc the starting job. As a team, there was much pressure to follow the 1980 Miracle on Ice team. Behrend looked at it differently. He said, "The Olympics is about competing against the best athletes in the world and giving your best." Without the energy provided by an enthusiastic Lake Placid crowd, the team finished 7th in the tournament. Now Marc moved on to fulfill his dream of becoming an NHL goalie. As usual, he began as a backup. He spent 3 seasons splitting time between the Jets and the American Hockey League team, the Sherbrooke Canadians. Overall, Behrend played 46 games in the NHL, recording a save percentage of 84% and a goals against average of 4.82. He played 61 games in the AHL with a goal against average of 3.67. Feeling that his professional hockey career was stagnating and the game wasn't fun anymore, Marc decided to return to his hometown and get on with the rest of his life. For him, the transition from repelling pucks to fighting fires did not seem to be too difficult. As he stated, "I always had it in the back of my mind that when this comes to an end, wouldn't it be great to follow in my father's footsteps?" In 1967, his grandfather, Phil Sr., when he retired, brought Marc down to the fire station to make a last-ditch effort to convince his grandson to be a 6th-generation fireman from the Behrend family. This lineage dates all the way back to 1867, when Marc's 3rd great-grandfather joined the volunteer force, eventually becoming chief of the engine company. So in 1989, he joined the Madison Fire Department to fulfill another life goal. Marc is especially pleased to be inducted into the Madison Sports Hall of Fame with today's honorees, as well as into such a prestigious group of former inductees, some who were his athletic mentors. Father Phil, who is in the audience, played an instrumental role in his sports career, and Mother Judy, watching from above, was his biggest and most faithful fan. Marc would like to acknowledge his children, Eric and Krista, who he enjoys spending time with when he is not playing his guitar or listening to music. The Madison Sports Hall of Fame Club and Strand Associates Incorporated are honored to welcome Marc Behrend into the class of 2016.